What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers movie masterpiece MPM-12 Bumblebee movie Nemesis Prime. Now, if you are after adding this or any of the other masterpiece figures to your collection, I'll of course be sure to include links down in the description box below. And this is a redeco that I never thought officially we would ever see. You know, with the studio series, unfortunately, we don't tend to ever get these conceptualized repaints, and I think it's a shame because if you cast your minds back to Dark of the Moon, Revenge of the Fallen, we'd see an Optimus Prime mold repainted into like 5 different colours, whereas nowadays, unfortunately, we near enough just get the original first version. But it is awesome to see Takara take the MPM-12, undeniably one of the coolest versions of Optimus that we've ever seen, and give him this dark Nemesis redeco, which looks sick. I mean, if you're a fan of MPM-12 and you like Nemesis Prime, you're gonna love this guy. So as we just take a look at the details, I mean, in terms of the sculpt, you know, despite all of its flaws, I think this was one of the more enjoyable Bumblebee movie Optimus molds. Yeah, granted, it wasn't as intricate as some of those third-party companies, and it definitely had a lot of problems in the truck mode, but it was an enjoyable figure just to mess around with. And still, I mean, from a front-on perspective, the robot mode looks nuts. Even as we come around to the back, it's still a very well done mold. My biggest issue would have to be, you know, the back arm panels, and there are also some bigger issues in truck mode. It is unfortunate, you know, because this guy has released, I think, 2 years since the original MPM-12, that Takara still hasn't made any mold changes. You know, they could easily swap out this panel for something which is more along the lines of what the DNA design upgrade kit gave us, but instead it is just a straight up repaint, but a very nice one. So here for the back, you can see loads of amazing mechanical detail. Love that. Spinal detail, really nice hydraulics here in the back of the legs. I mean, it does look so sick, and I'd love to see this kind of Nightverse B-movie Prime design with this Nemesis Prime deco on the big screen. I just think, unfortunately, Nemesis Prime was kind of done dirty in the Transformers Last Night movie, but even the head sculpt, look at it. It just looks insane. Amazing detail for the mouthpiece, and I love the kind of teal green highlights that we have along the side of the helmet. Unlike the official MPM-12, we no longer have mismatched pieces, so the ears are slightly more closer to the plastic used on the base sculpt, so that's pretty cool. No unsightly colour mismatch, luckily, but look at this guy from a bird's eye perspective. Really nice sculpted in detail, even on the top of the shoulders, and I love the chest design. I mean, I think this is probably one of my favourite chest designs for a Prime. You know, I love the original trilogy of Michael Bay movies, but this just takes it to a whole other level, especially with that additional kind of techie layer that we have on the underside. That just looks so nice. Even the window wipers picked out in a nice gunmetal. Love all of these hydraulics. I mean, even some of these have been picked out in a nice teal, and for the most part, I think the arms and the biceps look great. You know, with this darker gunmetal, it really does allow you to appreciate some of the smaller details, and this just looks nuts. I mean, look at that. That is so freaking cool with the highlighting around this circle piece. That looks wicked. Unfortunately, they didn't change the hands, and much like the back of the arms, this too was an issue I had with the original version, and unfortunately, with this guy holding the blaster, he still has the issue where the kind of wrist joint wants to continuously hinge down, so that again is unfortunate, and the fingers, when you open them, still look atrocious. So, you know, had they just at the bare minimum shot a pin through the index finger, I just think it would have looked a lot cooler. So, you know, you could have had him in kind of a commanding gesture, or maybe, you know, actually straightening the hands out, as in terms of articulated fingers, these are pretty much useless. But as we come down here to the lower section, for the most part, again, it looks great. Unfortunately, no paint at all on the thighs, and I definitely think that's something they could have done. I mean, you know, they could have put some nice teal highlighting on this piece. We get a nice kind of outline on the side, but nothing at the front nor at the back, which is a little bit of a shame. But the front of the figure all looks really cool. Now, I won't bore you guys with articulation. You know, it's identical to the original version, so we get all of the same range at the top, the nice clicky ratchet joints here out of the hips, but accessory wise, this Nemesis Prime still retains the matrix of leadership, which on the original version was a conceptualized idea because we never saw B-movie Prime use the matrix or show it off in the Bumblebee movie. But look at that, still so awesome looking, and I'm hoping in Rise of the Beasts we can actually see this, you know, make it into reality. But look at that matrix, so nicely done. I like all of the kind of intricacies that we have surrounding the chamber. The matrix is still removable, and yeah, it's still die cast, so we get a nice kind of green gem slap bang in center. Maybe it would have made more sense had it been a Decepticon purple or maybe a teal color, but still doesn't look too bad, so I can't complain too much. And then the final weapon that we get included with this guy is the Ion Blaster. So, you know, unfortunately, no teal Energon axe like we saw with, I think it was the G1 Masterpiece Prime, but still, I mean, it's a not bad weapon. Unfortunately, it's not painted, you know, much like the thighs. It would have been cool to have seen some of that teal colorization on a few of the pieces. It is still Blast Effect compatible, for those of you who are wondering, but yeah, all in all, not too bad at all. Now, as we take a look at a few comparisons, here we have Takara's Nemesis Prime alongside the original MPM-12 Optimus Prime with all of the DNA design upgrades. So, you know, like I said previously, it is a shame that Takara didn't take a leaf out of DNA Design's book and, you know, maybe had actually implemented some of the changes the upgrade kit did for this guy into the main bulk sculpt. But, you know, as it stands, it's still a really good figure, but I just think those upgrades make this a little better. You know, the longer thighs, the articulated hands, the back of the arms in particular. I mean, as we spin them around to the back, that looks so much better when in comparison to this, and it's a very simple change. This doesn't really alter the transformation all that much, and these particular pieces, the top of the shoulders, trust me, they make all of the difference in truck mode. So, you know, it is a shame again that they didn't just change these pieces to get rid of the cat ears, which you guys are going to see in just a second. But if you're a fan of Nemesis Prime, you're into these repaints, then by all means, this definitely isn't a bad figure to pick up. I just don't think perhaps it's a must-have like the original MPM-12 was. And here for some newer comparisons, here we have Nemesis Prime alongside Rise of the Beast's leader class Scourge. So definitely a pretty big looking figure. And there he is next to Studio Series 100, Rise of the Beast Deluxe Class Bumblebee. Now, as we quickly talk through transformation, for those of you, you know, maybe who never picked up the original version, to kickstart things off with, you're going to want to take the arm panel and just hinge this section out. We can then take the hands, make sure that the thumb is on top of the fingers like that, and then just fold this section back. You'll then want to rotate here at the bicep so that the front is now facing the back for now, and repeat the exact same on the opposite side. Once that's done, we can now come around here to the back and basically take this back panel and detach it. It is held in via this tiny little slot, so just bring that forward, and then we can take this panel and just lift that section up. You'll now want to take the chest, and basically there are 2 points of connection. So we have it tabbed into the body, and you don't want to unpeg these tabs. What you want to do is just take this front piece and put it forwards, so just these sections, as it will straighten the chest out for the truck mode. So you're left with something which looks roughly along the lines of this. We can then get the shoulders out of the way, and what you're going to want to do is take this chest piece and just pull it forwards just like that. Now what we can do is come around here to the back, take the head, fold it into that hollow cavity, and then just begin folding out these panels, and then this one will actually snap into place, which hopefully should keep those chest or truck windows in position. Now what we can do is come here to these pieces, flip those outwards on either sides, and then you're going to want to rotate all the way around just like that. Now what we can do is come here to the underside, and basically you're going to want to untab this whole section. So pull this here all the way back, and then take what were originally kind of the back skirt and then bring this section forward until it does click into place. Now a point of transformation which you must make sure that you've got correct is this tab has to shoot into that slot. So you do have to make sure that it does lock into place. If you don't do that and you begin transforming the arms, it's just going to make things way more complex later on. What we can now do is bring these sections here forwards, and then what's going to happen is that that tab is going to shoot into a slot on the underside. So just line this section up, snap that into place. Do the exact same here for this side. So bring this forwards and then just snap that in there. Now what you're going to want to do is come around here to the back, make sure that that chest window is pulled forwards, bring these back, and then rotate at the bicep, and then bend here at the elbow joint. So what's going to happen is we're basically just going to fold all of this here in upon itself. We can then take this panel, bring this section here down, and as I'm sure you guys would imagine, we're just going to fold all of this in, and then there is a tab that's going to peg into a slot. So just snap all of that in just like this. We can now bring this panel down, snap that there into place, take the shoulder panels, and these are actually kind of multi-layered, so pull this piece up and then pull all of this up, and then just snap all of that there into place. And then for some finishing touches, lift this piece up and then rotate the smokestack around. Do the exact same on the opposite side. Bang, and then now once that's done, that's pretty much the entire front of the cab transformed. We can begin work here on the legs, which to be fair is quite straightforward. So just take the shin pieces, rotate those sections around. What we can then do is take this panel, pull this out, take the wheels, bring these sections down, and then take this section, pull it out, as it will allow for enough clearance for us to bring this kind of fuel tank around. This is completely die cast and even pretty nicely sculpted, and then this will just come up and over just like that, and then we can collapse this panel over the top take this piece, fold that section in, and then what you're going to want to do is take these pieces, straighten that section out, and then bring the entire piece there to the back, and we can just straighten out the foot. So basically collapse it in upon itself like that, bring the wheels around and then flip them upwards, and then that little tab is going to slide into a slot in there. So click that into place just like that. Now what we're going to do is snap that tab into a slot on the knee pad. So clip that into place, and then just tab the fuel tank into the side of this kind of skirt piece. It will hold in there pretty securely, and then do the same on the opposite side. Bang! So once that's done, we can now combine the two halves. So just snap all of those tabs in together, and now as we come here to the back of this piece, you're actually going to want to flip it up, and there are two tiny tabs that are going to peg onto the front of this. So just slide these up just like that until they click into place, and then these tabs are going to scoot into those slots there. So just slide those sections upwards, and bang, there is Nemesis Prime fully transformed up into his truck mode. And you know what, it's kind of a 50-50 split. I think when you factor everything in, you know, the look of the robot mode, the simplistic transformation for a masterpiece, I don't think the truck is terrible, but it's definitely the weakest out of the two. And there was a simple modification Takara could have made in really making this a lot better, and that would be to just get rid of the cat ears. DNA Design brought out a very simple piece. It basically replaced what was originally the side of the shoulder in robot mode, and it allowed for an additional hinge for this just to fold down. So why Takara Tomy, you know, the masters of Transformers, couldn't have done the same for this figure is completely beyond me. You know, it throws me back to why they didn't add a bicep rotation for that Revenge of the Fallen Starscream. You know, this guy's come out 2 years since his original version, and to see them not fix something which is so simple really is quite a letdown. But with that being said, you know, the paint details for the truck mode look sick, and like I said previously, I would love to see this on the Studio Series Bumblebee movie Voyager. So we get this wicked teal color which goes all the way around, you know, the side of the truck. I love the way this whole front looks with that dark, formidable gunmetal grey, really cool kind of fiery looking red windows which look sick, and the Decepticon logos too are pretty cool. These are the classic insignias, so they're not the ones that we're used to seeing from some of the Michael Bay movies. But the rear of the truck, you know, to be fair, it's never really bothered me that much. This is quite a long truck just to begin with, you know, even in the movie it was quite a long truck. The only thing which I think maybe they could have done a better job with would be the shins. There's quite a lot of space here, you know, they maybe could have had these rotate and stored away in there. But the actual trailer bed itself, decently sculpted, nice gunmetal grey. It's still compatible with the trailer that came out for MP-44, for those of you wondering. No rubberized tyres, but they are painted and pinned on, so I guess that's something. I mean, you guys let me know down in the comment section below, what do you think of this Nemesis Prime truck mode? I think it's one that if it was ever to make an appearance in the live action movies would look sick. I mean, can you imagine this thing charging towards Optimus Prime or the Autobots? It would just be insane, and a pretty good match for maybe Rise of the Beast Scourge. Now, as we take a very quick look at some of the weapon storage, you basically just take the Iron Blaster, fold it up like that, and there are two tabs here on the back that simply slide into these slots. So we just tab it in, and Nemesis Prime is good to go. Unfortunately, not the greatest form of weapon storage, you know, much like the shin pads. I definitely think there was a way to engineer this to stir away in some of the hollowness we have here with the underside, you know, maybe this compartment at the back. But the figure does roll pretty nicely despite the wheels not being rubberized, so that is something worth bearing in mind. And yeah, if you get rid of the cat ears, it does look pretty decent, but considering they're still there, honestly, Takara Tomy, what are you doing, guys? You are definitely slacking. And just before we wrap up the review, here we have Masterpiece Nemesis Prime alongside the leader class Rise of the Beasts Scourge. And in terms of a team up, I think this one could be unmatched. If we got Nemesis Prime alongside Scourge, Optimus and the Maximals would definitely be in for a bit of a sticky situation. But you guys let me know down below, would you like to see Nemesis Prime make another live action movie debut, or do you think the appearance that we saw from Transformers The Last Night is more than enough? So there is the Takara Tomy MPM-12 Nemesis Prime. Overall, it's definitely a nice repaint, you know, I'll say that. I think it's one of the better repaints that we've seen Takara Tomy put out in recent years, and I'm still hoping that we can kind of see more of these, you know, based on live action movie figures in the Studio Series. But getting back to this guy, robot mode looks fantastic. You know, the transformation has never really been the most complex masterpiece, so it is enjoyable to go back from robot to vehicle. But much like I mentioned in the Revenge of the Fallen Starscream review, it's been quite a few years since this guy originally came out, so to just give us a repaint, I think is a little lazy. You know, Takara could have addressed some of the issues that many collectors had, especially for this guy. You know, the cat ears, they're such a simple and easy fix, so why they didn't just change that tiny aspect about this figure is a little beyond me. But if you're a fan of Nemesis Prime, you like the Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime design, and I mean, come on, who doesn't? Then yeah, this is a pretty nice repaint, but at the end of the day, it is just a repaint, still at that same masterpiece price point. So, you know, unless you are a diehard fan, then I think this one here could probably go an easy miss. I'd love to get your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you guys think of some of these more recent Takara movie masterpiece repaints? Would you like to see them progress with this line, or do you think it's pretty much okay with Nemesis Prime and Revenge of the Fallen Starscream? As always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.